Welcome to the Business Services Café by ABSL, powered by Brandfizz. I'm Anita Zvezdovics, and I will be your host for this energizing coffee break. We are here to bring the business services sector closer to you through brewed insights about the trends, with espresso shots with the most influential leaders, and also with some sip-off takeaway. In each episode, we are inviting top leaders from the industry, and we are aiming to bring these energizing topics to your coffee break. In today's episode, our guest is Ahmed Ismail, who is the head of the Sanofi GBS Hub in Budapest. Very warm welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Anita. Nice to meet you.
The topic of today is leading diversity, which is, I think, a very credible topic, you being the advocate and choosing this topic, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
In the beginning, to bring closer to the audience, we will have some warm-up questions. So grab your favorite cup of coffee and settle in and join us as we blend the expert insights and the energizing conversations right here at the Business Services Café. Let's get started. So the first question is how do you typically drink your coffee?
Well, funny that I'm not a coffee drinker.
Okay.
I'm a tea drinker.
So we shut down the camera now.
No. I don't like to drink tea.
Okay, so you are a tea person.
Yes.
So when you have your coffee meetings or tea meetings with your colleagues or anyone, what are they mostly about? What are the topics?
So usually I'm using this time of the coffee or the tea break with my colleagues and my people to really talk about them, asking, how are you? And genuinely asking, how are you? How are you doing? How's life around you? Sometimes even talk about family.
Yeah.
How's your kids? How's your family? If there is any situation where they are moving from city to another city, how was the move? In case of something with the parents, how the parents? So usually spend time generally asking about the person. And then afterward, we start to talk about how is the operation? How are you doing the operation? How is going on? In case of any challenges, in case of any concern, in case of any help needed. So I'm trying to make this kind of informal discussion to make it easy for the people to open up and discuss about their issue or opinion.
So not only the people's performance, but also what is in their background.
Absolutely. We have to have the genuine personal connection. And I really mean it when I ask people sometimes, okay, how are you? Say, I'm fine. I say, okay, but really, how are you? I really mean it. How are you?
Yeah.
And then at the time, it might be a different answer.
Yeah. And what are your barista level skills which are bringing you in this position?
I think there is a couple of points which I need to stress on. That first of all is the flexibility. Because when you work into such kind of agile environment and really demanding business practice in the industry, you need to be flexible, you need to be agile. You need to find out how you are able to take the best for your team and for your organization to move forward. So flexibility, agility, other things as well, which it is very, very important, is a respect. When you respect your team, respect your organization, respect your value, then I think that's helped you as well to move on with your career.
And we talk about, I think you have how many years of
26.
experience? 26 years of experience in the industry. And now we are turning into the topic, what cultural experience have influenced to brew the success in your career?
I think it's a couple of points. Let me focus on the most important one, is hunger to learn. So always try to find opportunity to upskill and learn over the time. I feel sometimes when they reach a level of seniority or level of understanding, they are kind of having the glass ceiling for themselves. They build the glass ceiling for themselves, which I don't think it is right approach. Usually when you move on with your career, try to learn and unlearn. Sometimes even to unlearn practice some habits that you get used to do it, and is a moment you unlearn it and to build something new. Other area which I think it will be really important that don't stay too much in your comfort zone. People sometimes tend to stay too much in comfort zone, unconsciously sometimes. Sometimes they would like to be there. I don't think it's a good practice to be in the comfort zone, because your learning capability and your learning curve will start to slow down and start to be flat, and that's not the right point to go there.
Yeah, and the cultural experience definitely takes you out of the comfort zone. Now going into the core of the discussion, like leading in diversity, I think we have to understand, what does diversity mean in your life?
In my life, actually, in reality, it is a part of my entire life, actually. My family is diverse. I'm Egyptian. I moved to Hungary 22 years ago. My family is very diverse. My wife is half Hungarian, half Polish. My daughter and my kids is half Egyptian, quarter Hungarian, quarter Polish. So it is really a pure diverse, and I really appreciate the family, because we embrace this kind of diversity and the reach of the culture between all of us, the tradition and the background and the culture. Second one, in the life of operation in the business, I've been working in that industry for really 26 years, I would say, out of which 22 years in Hungary. And all of these 22 years I was working with really multiple number of nationality, background, culture, generation. I would count that at least more than 60 nationality I was working with. Honestly, maybe even more. And that helped me a lot to embrace the kind of the openness for the culture, the openness and the tolerance for the differences, and to appreciate that difference, appreciate the background and tradition and different view of thinking. That's helped me a lot to have this leadership, inclusive leadership style.
And what you also mentioned, not only personally, but also in the industry, it's a very unique industry. So like there are different time zones, multiple nationalities working sometimes in one team. There is a lot of culture, gender, age, experience level. So I think it's very diverse.
It's very diverse, yeah.
How is it working in such an environment in the business service sector? So it's like, how does it feel like, or what is it like?
To be honest, it is, especially in our industry, there is no option not to have diversity.
Okay.
So I don't think it's like a choice. It is a kind of main element and main aspect of our industry to be diverse. And as you mentioned, it's not just only diversity from nationality, it's diversity from maturity, diversity from seniority, diversity from gender, diversity from generation, when we have Gen Z and millennials and so on. It's a kind of, we need to have the right adaptation and right environment to harness the benefit and harness the value of that diversity. You can have two ways, either to protect and nurture and grow the diversity healthy in your environment, or you have really a big challenge and your environment will be toxic and it will be really difficult to produce what you are supposed to do because of that diversity is not well protected. And there's too many elements or too many measure and action to do to make sure that this diversity is a positive enabler, not a toxic environment for us.
And how do you enhance that? Like that it's not actually a barrier, but it is creating collaboration. As you said, it's like the DNA of the business service sector.
It's all about culture. How you build the right culture in the center, in the hub. Culture of inclusive culture, culture of openness, the culture of tolerance, the culture of respect, the culture of flexibility. So all of this is not coming by itself. It's a lot of work need to be done. So starting from the leadership as well. When the head of the fish is healthy and right, then the rest of the organization is really healthy and right. So the inclusive leadership has to be there. A lot of training, a lot of awareness session about the cultural differences. We need also to have kind of practice in our organization to ensure that we protect that culture. Let it be cross-training, cross-cultural training. Let it be culture sensitivity, because I might say something could be in one culture offensive, or could be another culture okay. So I'm working with 6 nationality in our organization. I need to understand the differences. I need to do my homework, not only me, the leadership, the people, need to do the homework to understand the culture differences. I need to ensure that I'm using the right language as well, because not everyone is speaking English as a native, right? So I cannot speak local Arabic to the people and not speak local Hungarian to the people, because then I will exclude a big part of my organization.
I think it's very, very important. I'm sorry to interrupt. Like there is a discussion going on, talking in the language, I don't know, the subgroup, and
you
then
immediately.
Immediately you switch to English. So like if it's part of the culture, you sense it immediately, like they switch.
Exactly.
So like simply somebody appearing and speaking the language.
Absolutely. So we have to be careful about that. Sometimes people don't think about it, the impact of if they start to speak in the local language, and the other people on the table get excluded by default. That is whether you are intentional or unintentionally. Yeah. Some items as well, the work-life practice. So there is some culture where the private life, personal life, there is a barrier between the professional life and the private life. Mm-hmm. So you need to understand that in that culture, you don't enter in that private life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some other culture, the private life, it is between the private and professional is fluid.
So
it is easygoing, so there's no any issue too. So you have to be careful about that. Time zone. We are working in a global matrix environment. So how to ensure that we respect the time zone for the people supporting North America or people supporting other regions, how to ensure that the people are able to respect with the time zone they support. We cannot overload them with very aggressive time zone for the work. And there is too many elements to ensure that we nurture and to set up the right culture in the environment. It's all about culture.
And is there any tip or approach that you could give in building, like maybe from your experience, a truly diverse team as a leader?
For sure. I think I will use the word respect many times. So don't be bored with me with that, because it's really about the respect. And second one, to be fair and not biased, because sometimes some leaders tend to lean a little bit to the culture or to the environment where they are used to and where they are coming from and that's a little bit unfair. It's really unfair for the others. So the bias by itself, sometimes unconscious bias, which is really harmful for the operation organization. So the advice is to be fair, unbiased as much as possible. Try to acknowledge the bias as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't acknowledge it. But if you need to acknowledge the bias and need to work it out and respect the people around you.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like immediately like in defensive mode, okay, I didn't want to do that. But it's like sometimes it's just simply there. How do you tackle these unconscious bias in the workplace with your leadership style, with your leadership team within the organization?
Good question. First of all, we need to have the right training, right awareness, because expecting leaders and managers to be by nature unbiased, that will be foolish.
Yeah.
So we have to ensure that we have the right training, right tools, right awareness, right support for people to be equipped with that understanding, with that awareness. Second one, to set up the right measure and right tools in the company. So let's say for hiring, we have to have a structured process for the hiring, for the recruitment, what the level of interviews to do, what the type of evaluation and even the forms to use to minimize as much as possible any bias. Yeah. Promotions, who's taking the decision for promotion, what level of the panel to do the promotion, what the process and the control to have that for the promotion. It's based on the facts, not based on emotional, not based on the personal relationship, based on the fact, based on the evaluation of the performance, based on the outcome results, rather than it's a personal. You have to have a clear policy in the organization that it is zero tolerance, not nulla tolerance to bias and any discrimination. So this has to be like really very clear to everyone from top to down, that there is zero tolerance for any bias, there is zero tolerance for any discrimination. And if that's happened and it became evident that this event or this incident happened, then to have a really serious action for that situation, investigation. If it's true and it is proven to be discrimination or bias, then has to be really a serious action for that.
And I think in Hungary, compared to an average company, the business service sector companies are having a structure in place at least, and the environment is enabling like the diversity and to have equal opportunities. I know we didn't discuss it earlier, but I would be very curious if you have any example where you were able to turn, like, you know, that there was an unconscious bias coming into maybe a promotion, maybe a hiring or whatever situation, and you are able to turn it. Even if you have a story or not.
No, I have a story, and
I would be very curious.
Even personally, I think a couple of years ago, I was hiring for operation in a team, and I had many interviews. And I remember there was a candidate, he was in really a mature age, I think around 40s plus, and he really was really good. The profile was good. But the whole team, the rest of the team was really young. And somehow I made the decision that not to go for him and go for another candidate for that position. And ironically, the candidate that accepted the offer didn't show up and went to another company.
Okay.
So then I went for that original candidate, and he joined the team. And you cannot imagine, that person was super fantastic.
Yeah.
Was super ready to learn, was very funny. Everyone loved him. Was doing fantastic job. Was learning fast.
Yeah.
Everything that I would have read from, it just turned out to be totally different. And he was like the icon of the team.
Yeah.
So I learned from that moment that this was unconscious bias for me.
Yeah.
I'm human. I could, and this situation, I learned from that I have to put all of that outside from my catalog before going into that discussion or going that interview, because that might impact you negatively. And luckily, we hired him, and I proven really opposite what I thought about.
Yeah, that's so great. And looking ahead, so like what's the future, like looking into our magic ball and the future ball? Because diversity and inclusion, I think it's a very talk topic, or it's a topic a lot of companies and people and everybody is talking about it. And how do you foresee that this conversation is going to evolve in the upcoming years, and how do you make sure that this is going to be on our agenda in a way that it's really influencing also the sector, and also actually through that the entire culture we are living in a positive way?
So look, in my view, diversity and inclusion is going to play even more critical role in the future for our industry, not just only our industry, in our life, but if we speak on the GPS industry, it's going to play even more critical role due to a couple of reasons. One of them is the generation differences. And we have to be very ready and educated how to ensure that the new generation are learned, are heard, are understood, and how we can adapt and get the benefit and utilize the generation in the right way. Instead of having conflict, we need to have the better communication, collaboration with the new generation. Second one, the whole world became a small village, meaning that many of our hubs and centers are supporting global roles. We're speaking with too many different stakeholders from different regions, from different backgrounds, and there's more and more happening. It's going to be even more demanded that our leaders to be inclusive leader, that our team members to be kind of educated and aware about the differences and about the culture, about the benefit of such kind of diversity, and the whole organization to be clear about that, which I think we are, is going to be even more and more demanded for the future.
I know we talked about it, that I'm going to ask this question after the espresso shots, but I'm going to ask it now because I think we are in the flow.
Sure.
Can you share like key habits, like I think as a conclusion of this entire discussion and how you approach this topic that is going to contribute to the long-term success in the diversity? Because it's definitely a key topic. It's something is needed for the industry to flourish. Like concluding today's discussion as a key habit to implement.
It is for us, it's again about culture, to nurture and to flourish that culture, to support the awareness and understanding.
The company culture.
The company culture,
yeah. Okay.
Indeed. To support that differences between the culture and to benefit from that. We'd also focus a little bit that sometimes people are impacted by the general media. And sometimes general media is biased. And we need to be careful this not to impact the relationship between the employee on the floor. So if there is anything happening around us, and unfortunately, there's too many things happen around us in the world. Very hot area, very hot conflicts. And we have to protect the people in our environment from those environments. And we cannot let them be harassed or cannot be treated unfairly, or even somebody speak to them in a different way because some problem on some issue in the wallet. So we have to protect that one. So in my view, I would like to respect people in the same way that I like to be respected. So if we have that culture in our environment, that should be kind of foundation to protect that diversity and inclusion.
I truly believe you do create a very safe place.
As much as I can, to be honest. Genuinely, that is my approach. I get used to that, and based on my relationship with my people, my team, my colleagues, I truly respect them, truly respect the nature of that diversity and the culture and even the generation. And I have no any issue to have adaptability for that. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can.
And how important it is nowadays, this safe place, because of all the externalities.
It is very, very important safe place for our people.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's go through the espresso shots, and then after that we conclude. So why Hungary?
Oh, good question. Nagyon szeretem Magyarország. Yeah, for sure it's because of my great wife, Monika Slomska, and also because of IBM. IBM was, I was have like 1 year assignment from IBM Egypt to IBM Hungary, and this 1 year became another year, became 26 years.
Very great. What was your very first job?
I was in accounts payable. I was accountant, so I'm originally finance accountant, so I was accounts payable accountant.
Okay, so from accounts payable to the head of the organization.
True.
Who is your biggest inspiration?
My father.
What are the most commonly used expressions or abbreviations recently in the BSC sector?
Recently, I think the word generative AI.
Generative AI, all right.
I think is even overused.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to put generative AI in any discussion, in any presentation, any panel.
Yeah.
Sometimes people really working on it. Sometimes people are just using it. So I think generative AI is the tool, the word. But in general, I think in our industry, transition is a transition transformation.
What was the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think the one I mentioned, respect the people in the way that you would like to be respected.
And what's your favorite part of the week?
Friday afternoon.
Okay. Thank you so much
Thanks a lot.
for the participation and for sharing these very valuable point of views on leading in diversity. I truly believe that our audience have food for thought to think about, to bring into their day-to-day practices, to open conversations with their colleagues, with their neighbors, with their friends. So I hope that also you listening to this podcast, you found it valuable and you enriched your experience and your openness to diversity. And if you like this episode, then click the subscribe button and don't forget to follow the upcoming episodes as well. And if you have any ideas what we should be talking about in the podcast, don't be afraid to share in the comments. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.